The year was 1882, in a small industrial town nestled between rolling hills and a smoky riverbank. The air smelled of cotton dust and iron. Every morning before sunrise, hundreds of children hurried through narrow cobblestone streets, their small hands carrying lunch tins, their eyes heavy with sleep. Among them was Clara Barnes, a 12-year-old girl with a red ribbon in her hair and calluses on her palms. She worked at the Wellington textile mill, one of the largest in the state, a towering building of brick and noise that never truly slept, but hidden in Clara's lunch tin, beneath a folded napkin and a piece of bread, was a small brown notebook, her secret diary, and in that diary she wrote everything the world refused to see. Clara began working at the mill when she was 10, her father had died in a boiler accident, and her mother, left with 2 younger children, needed every penny. For 6 days a week, Clara worked 12 hours a day, feeding threads into rattling machines, breathing in cotton dust so thick it clung to her eyelashes. She earned 40 cents a day. That was enough for bread and coal, barely. The overseers were strict. Talking was forbidden. Laughter was rare, but Clara had a smile that could light up the dullest corners of the mill. She would hum softly when the noise wasn't too loud, songs her father used to sing before he left for work each dawn. Sometimes, she wrote those songs down in her notebook. Other times, she wrote about what she saw: children with bandaged fingers, girls falling asleep at their machines, older men coughing blood into rags. She didn't know why she was writing it, she only knew it felt important. One winter morning, Clara noticed something new. A journalist from the city had arrived to photograph the mill, a tall man with a hat and a heavy camera. The factory manager ordered the workers to smile, to look happy and proud. For once, the overseers handed out new aprons and wiped down the machines. Clara smiled too, but she knew it was a lie. Later that night, she wrote in her diary, "Today, a man took our picture. They told us to smile, even though Mary cut her hand again. Maybe one day someone will see our real faces, not the ones we wear for them." The weeks passed, the days grew colder, and Clara's diary grew thicker, filled with tiny, careful handwriting and blotched ink from trembling fingers. Her best friend, Mary Ellis, often asked what she was writing. Clara just smiled and said, "It's my secret." But the secret wasn't hers alone anymore. One afternoon, when the overseer wasn't looking, Mary peeked at a page. Her eyes widened. She read about accidents, unfair wages, and sickness. She whispered, "Clara, if they find this, they'll send you away." Clara looked down at her ink-stained hands. "I know," she said softly. "But someone has to remember." By spring, the mill had become more dangerous. The machines were breaking down, workers fainting more often, and children being replaced almost every week. The manager refused to stop production. "Time is money," he'd say. One day, an older boy named Tommy lost his arm to the spinning belts. No one stopped the machines. They simply carried him out and wiped the floor clean. That night, Clara wrote longer than ever. She described every sound, every scream, and at the end, she added a prayer: "If I can't make them listen now, maybe someday someone will." In early May, a storm struck the town. Rain flooded the riverbanks, and lightning cracked over the rooftops. Inside the mill, the walls leaked and the wooden floors swelled. That night, Clara stayed late, trying to finish her quota. The overseer shouted orders. The machines groaned. And then, a deafening snap, a support beam gave way, one of the heavy looms collapsed, crashing into the lower floor. Steam hissed, metal screamed, and the mill filled with smoke and panic. When the fire brigade arrived, the factory was burning. Dozens escaped. Many did not. Among the missing was Clara Barnes. Her mother searched for days, calling her name through the rubble. When the smoke cleared, only twisted iron and blackened cloth remained. The mill was rebuilt in time. The owners called it an accident, a tragedy of nature. But nature hadn't built the machines, and nature hadn't forced children to run them. 3 months later, during repairs, a carpenter found something lodged in a wall beam. A small leather-bound book. Half burned but still legible. Inside, he found pages of cramped handwriting. He turned it in to a local schoolteacher, who began reading aloud. By the 5th page, she was crying. By the 10th, the whole town was listening. It was Clara's diary. The words spread quickly, to local newspapers, then to state officials, and finally to Washington. Reporters called it the child's journal. Reformers reprinted passages in pamphlets and rallies. Clara's diary described everything: the long hours, the injuries, the fear. But what moved people most were her last words, written 2 days before the fire: "If someone finds this, please tell them we tried. We worked hard. We dreamed. We mattered." Clara Barnes never lived to see the laws change, but her words did what no politician or factory owner could ignore. By 1890, new labor reforms began to limit child labor hours. By 1916, the Keating-Owen Act passed, marking the first federal step toward protecting working children. Clara's name appeared in speeches, in books, and even in classroom lessons. No one ever found her photograph. But her words painted her portrait. Today, at the site of the old Wellington Mill, there's a small plaque. It reads, "In memory of Clara Barnes and the children who labored here, their courage built our conscience." Every year, someone leaves a red ribbon tied to the fence. No one knows who, maybe a descendant, maybe just someone who remembers the story. But when the wind catches that ribbon and it dances in the sunlight, it's easy to imagine Clara again, humming softly, pencil in hand, writing the truth no one else would. Some stories never make it into history books. They live quietly in the hearts of those who dare to see the world not as it is, but as it should be. Clara Barnes was one of them, a mill worker, a dreamer, and the girl whose secret changed the world.